Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are going to speak about hormones. And by the way, this is Viveka from the nourishcaveman.com and the Healing Foods Method. I have for once posted about the video today, and I'm trying a different location today. I'm hoping that it will be more stable for you, the camera. Here in my office and trying to keep the phone steady so that you all can watch and listen to me without too much shaking in the camera. So we are speaking about hormones today, and not just hormones in general, but as by popular demand, we're talking about hormones and macros and why changing your macros does not work when your hormones are imbalanced. Now, we're going to make a little diagram here because this topic can be really extensive and really complicated, and I can talk about it for probably 3 or 4 hours, and so I want to stick to the point. I want to be able to give you a clear picture and good information and an idea of what's going on in your body. So premise is, so many people in the keto community, you, my readers, always ask the questions, why can't I lose weight? Why am I stalled? Why is my weight not budging? And this is like the eternal question on keto, where some people do lose weight very quickly. They get on keto, within a month they lost 10 pounds, they're doing great, their energy is up. And then there is you, and you've been doing everything perfect. You've done keto for 6 months. You lost some weight initially, and all of a sudden it stopped, like screeching halt. And then there is nothing you can do to help that, nothing you can do. And so, hey, Kat, I'm in California too. I'm in Ojai. Where are you? Okay, I'm going to try not to sidetrack so much, but hello, Kat. What does make you different from your friend Mary or your friend Jane, who are losing weight, doing great, and having all this progress on a ketogenic diet, and you guys are eating pretty much the same? Well, especially for women, and as you guys know, I specialize in a women's audience. So this video specifically is targeted to women. We are the ones with the complicated hormones, unfortunately, and and we're the ones that have to deal with it. So the more information we have, the better we can deal with it and know what to do about it. So here we are. That's the scenario. And a lot of people that do keto, they think that the solution of this problem lays in the macros. And so many people come to me, they contact me, they send me messages, my patients, and the question is always the same. You know, am I eating enough fat? Am I eating enough protein? How many calories? Am I eating too many calories? Not enough calories? And people get stuck into this loop of changing your macros will make a difference. Now, hi, Cindy. Yes, sometimes macros are an issue. I am not completely dismissing the issue of macros, but there is a famous saying in nutrition, you probably heard me say that before, that hormones are stronger than diet. And that should be something that you write on a little sticky post and put it on your mirror. So it's going to help you understand, but also not get demotivated when your weight is not budging and nothing is happening, even if you're doing all the right things, because hormones are stronger than diet. If we don't fix the hormones, the diet will not help. It might help a little bit initially when you lose the water weight especially, but there is a reason why your body is holding on to fat. It's like desperately holding on to every little bit of fat that it can find inside your body. There is a reason for that, a very real physiological reason. So let's go back to my little diagram here that I made, and let's talk about hormone imbalances. Now, how many of you are there watching or future watching, but if you are watching now, I would love for you to keep chime in, how do you say it in English? Chime in and tell me, any of you ever experience any hormone imbalances? And here I'm not just talking periods, but let's start with periods. So how many have experienced too early or too late puberty, or irregular periods, or too abundant flow, or menstrual cramps, PMS signs? Any of these, those are not normal. What we consider normal, it is not normal. Our periods should be 3 to 4 days, moderate flow, no cramps, no PMS, and kind of go unnoticed. And you know, yeah, right, you would tell me. Right, there you go, Mandy. I understand perfectly. So, you know, if you think that the perfect period is a myth, no, actually it should be normal. But we have rarely the opportunity to experience at this point what a normal hormonal balance is, or, you know, what it should be. And there are a number of reasons. So, okay, see, that's why I have this. I don't trail off to the side and forget all about everything. So we are talking about sex hormones, but now there is another kind of hormone that is connected. Yes, irregular periods, heavy cramps, menopause now. Hi, Cindy. So the other kind of hormones, there are the same family, and here we're talking mainly steroid hormones. So what are steroid? Steroid hormones are made of cortisol. Okay, you guys, step back. Steroid hormones are made of cholesterol, they're made of fat, and those are not just all your sex hormones, but cortisol as well. So here comes in the other player in hormonal imbalances, which is cortisol. And guess what? Cortisol is your stress hormone. I'm sure that all of you watching right now are very aware of what cortisol is and what role it plays. But cortisol is produced by the adrenal cortex. It's produced by our adrenals, and it's a response to stress, which should be a normal response. But what happens these days is that we are constantly under stress, constantly. And so cortisol should be, it's a lot higher than it should be, and that leads to a lot of problems, which we're going to talk about right now. Yes, I see you guys can relate to the stress. We all are, you know, under stress. This is just the world we live in, and there is nothing really we can do to eliminate the stress, but we can learn what to do to reduce the effects or the consequences of the stress. So Colleen sends a message. Let me look at this real quick. 2007, early 40s, total hysterectomy. Yes, we're going to talk about this too. Total hysterectomy equals instant menopause, and that's kind of like shifting in reverse as you're going 60 miles per hour on the freeway. That is a hard situation for your body. And Colleen, I will probably reply to you in more detail. If I don't have time now during the video, I will do it in the comments later, okay? Cortisol factory. Yes, I like that term. I think most of us at this point are cortisol factories. So here we have these two different scenarios: imbalanced sex hormones, imbalanced cortisol, and stress. Now, what are the reasons of these imbalances? Let's look at that for a second, because I think that's really important for you to understand also what can we do about it. If we don't know why, and that's something your doctor will not tell you, why are your hormones all over the place? The doctor will just give you birth control, or I don't know, like they don't really have a lot of solutions to offer. If you go to a medical doctor, even a functional medicine doctor who's a little bit better, even an endocrinologist. But so what are the sources of the imbalance in your hormone? Well, first of all, we have, yes, thank you for your comment, Kat. So we have exogenous hormones. So in the case of sex hormones, there is a lot of exogenous hormones, like especially estrogens. And estrogens, we're going to talk in a second more about estrogen, but estrogen mimickers and also artificial estrogens are everywhere out there these days. And I'm just giving you one very simple example. How many of you have used an anti-wrinkle cream or a skin smoothing cream? Or how many of you have used perfume? Perfume and creams, especially anti-aging creams, use hormones. They contain hormones. So the moment you put those on your face, on your body, on your thyroid, you are putting in hormones in your body. Okay, let's go on. Other possible causes are stress, of which we talked about, which imbalances, constantly pushes our adrenals to the point to imbalance that cortisol level. And then toxins, heavy metals. Heavy metals are a huge factor in sending your hormones to hell. And if you look at the world out there, it's very contaminated, and there is heavy metals pretty much everywhere. And then another cause of imbalanced hormones is a low-fat diet. Years of low-fat diets and yo-yo dieting. And that's why it's so important right now to have a proper balanced diet. And keto paleo is a great diet to support your hormonal balance because it provides the fats. So this is probably a little bit, more in like detail than maybe you guys were expecting as far as why your tweaking macros doesn't work. But I know that it is an important conversation, and I know that there are some of you out there that will want to know really what to do about it and why is this going on. So those causes, yes, anti-wrinkle cream and perfume both. So you're constantly adding estrogens to your body, and your liver needs to process that estrogen out. So when your liver is not functioning great, what happens? It all accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. So that leads to two different scenarios. And thank you, Cindy. I know you love the detail. Like, I know that not everybody wants to know the little physiology, endocrinology class, but I think that empowering you with this knowledge is really important, because it's not just, like I say, it's not just about the macros. And we will get to some practical solutions in a second, but I want to just talk a little bit more about these two scenarios. One is high estrogen and one is high cortisol, and what they do to your weight specifically, not just to everything else. So high estrogen, talking about the wrinkle cream and the perfume, increases hunger. How many of you do relate to that? Yo-yo dieted for years and low fat too. Yes, Kat, exactly. So low fat takes away the raw material with which we manufacture the hormones. So back to high estrogen and hunger. Did you know that high estrogen makes you hungry, more hungry? Is that relevant for you, directly relevant? How the excess estrogen in your body will lead to constant hunger? And when you're saying, you come to me and you're like, I have cravings, I'm hungry, I can't stop eating, I can't reduce my portions. The macros that you calculated for me are not working. I'm constantly over them. I'm hungry. Well, high estrogen is a big result. Will make you constantly hungry. Also, the cravings, they are related to high estrogen. Another, a little bit second step effect of high estrogen is it completely imbalances your thyroid function. It actually affects conversions of hormones, and it impedes the normal functioning of your thyroid. So it's another step. But what does the thyroid does? A lack of proper thyroid hormone slows down your metabolism, makes you retain weight, and also causes hunger and cravings, along with a long list of symptoms. But once you have an imbalanced thyroid, good luck losing weight. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be so much harder. So high estrogen, imbalanced thyroid. Another thing, fluid retention, water retention. Did you know that when you have water retention and that time of the month comes and why you bloat up, it's because your estrogen is peaking. And so your body retains that water, and then after the period, we'll get to that, thank you for that question. Taylor? Rachel? Sorry, I can't. Greg and Rachel, there you go. Best way to detox estrogen. We'll get to that in a second. So, fluid retention during your period, high estrogen, and then insulin resistance and high estrogen, they kind of go hand in hand. And so there is several different correlations where high estrogen is present, always present in syndrome X, which is metabolic syndrome, which is also caused by insulin resistance. So this is another one of those physiological processes where it's a catch-22. And we're going back in circles. So high insulin influences high estrogen and vice versa. And so they just kind of like grab the arm and go together. And sorry, time for a sip of water. So guess what is another huge factor in high hormone levels in your body? Birth control. And you think, what is, I was just wondering, there is another thing the doctor used to fix your hormonal problems. Yes, of course, it's the pill, it's Depo-Provera injections, you name it. The pill, at least you can kind of modulate the intake of hormones, but think about a 3-month injection or an implant. Those can sometimes release a huge quantity of hormones in your body all at once, and they're not so controlled. And so you get this flush of estrogen sometimes, and it will raise the levels, and then it will trigger this cascade and influence the insulin. And here we go. So we're going to talk about the other scenario real quick, and then we'll talk about detoxing and what to do about it. But the other scenario is high cortisol. And we're talking about the adrenals and the stress. So we have seen how the high estrogen will influence your weight loss and your hunger and your cravings. And now high cortisol, one of the one of the effects, again, of cortisol, increasing cravings. So sometimes you think, I'm bad, I'm the one, I'm just addicted to sugar, I need to have that donut, I need to have that sweet chocolate something. It's sometimes you're just so stressed out that your cortisol is being so high all day, high right there, and you just cannot help it but to go for the sugar. So another thing cortisol does, that is one of the main effects, is raises your blood sugar levels. Why? Because it's a fight or flight response. Cortisol puts you into that fight or flight response where you need to act. The stressor is coming, stressor is pushing on you, blood sugar goes up, you're ready to run from the tiger. Well, guess what? That happened is still a physiological response if there is no tiger and there is maybe a screaming child, a screaming boss, a screaming husband, a screaming whoever in the car as you leave the house, all day long, that goes on and your cortisol stays up and your blood sugar stays up. So guess what happens to your insulin? When your blood sugar is high, where is your insulin? Up there. And then guess what? You crave sugar. More sugar. And there we go. Another vicious cycle that spirals down usually, not up. Cortisol is catabolic as well. So you lose muscle and it helps you produce fat cells. So you lose muscle and you increase fat. Maybe the weight stays the same if you're lucky, but then the lean muscle mass goes down. And guess what? Your lean muscle mass is the one which is sensitive to insulin, where your cells are more insulin sensitive. And the fat tissues are the ones that the more fat tissues you have, they produce estrogens. Yes, they are like mini endocrine glands, your fat cells. So the more adipose tissues, the more fat cells, the more estrogen gets produced. And here we go again. It's the same merry-go-round that goes over and over. Also, cortisol is fat storing. It's catabolic, but fat storing. I think we mentioned that. And it makes you more and more insulin resistant. So there was my list. And I am not really going to go into hormonal cascades and what happens when, from your raw material of cholesterol, like how all the hormones. Yes, Deb, you can definitely watch the whole video later. And if you have any questions in the meantime, please write them down. If I don't get to all the questions, you guys, I will type them in later from my computer, because right now I'm on the phone and I also don't want to keep this video going forever and ever. But I am here to answer your questions. And I lost track again. Okay, I think we are at the part where we can talk about what do we do about it. So if we cannot change those macros, the macros won't work. So what do we do? Well, of course, we need to fix the problem before anything can change. And as a nutritionist, as a practitioner, I see that in my practice all the time. It works. And so you guys, don't be desperate, don't be discouraged, don't be hopeless, because yes, it works. You can fix your hormones. It is a little bit of work and it takes a little bit of time, but it will address your hormone balance, then your weight, and you will be able to lose weight again. First step for me is always detoxing. So how do we detox from estrogens? We detox the whole body, and there is not a specific estrogen detox. Of course, yeah, you can limit the input of estrogen, so limit the sources of exogenous estrogen that you're taking in. So for example, no more wrinkle cream that comes from L'Oreal and it's packed full with estrogens, and you know, those are not exactly bioidenticals either. They're synthetic, and they will stay in your skin, they will accumulate, and you know, here we go back on the merry-go-round. So the first step in limiting, detoxing the extra estrogen from your body is get off the estrogens. If you're on the pill, bad news. Yes, the pill is not fixing your period. The pill is just overriding your body's functions so that the body doesn't have control anymore, but is like, you know, has to follow a certain pathway. But the original problem that caused that dysfunction is still there. So in the long term, the pill is not just not fixing it, it's also making it worse, because it's adding a lot of hormones. And we can go into another rabbit hole here, but let's stick to the topic. So limiting the sources of external hormones that are coming into your body, and then cleansing the liver. Liver is our main organ, the organ where all the hormones are processed and detoxified. Very important to support both phases of detox. You know, liver has 2 detox phases, 1 and 2. Guess what? All those juice cleanses, not that you keto people do the juice cleanses, thank goodness, but why don't they work? Because you need protein to do phase 2, and if you don't have enough binding protein to bind the toxins that have been liberated from the cells and now are floating around in your liver just getting ready to cause some trouble, if you don't handcuff them to a protein and lock them out, you know, they're gonna start causing problems. So those detoxes that don't include protein, they just don't work, because the excess toxins are gonna just run out screaming from your liver, and they're gonna actually be more toxic after phase 1 than they were originally as they entered the liver. And again, I'm not gonna go into big detail here, but you're welcome to look this up. You're very welcome to take any of those things that I'm talking about and research them yourself to see and prove and understand more. We're talking about a bigger picture here and just trying to give you an idea of what we can do. So in practice, we eliminate all the estrogens, no more pill, no more creams, no more artificial perfumes. For men, the deodorants and like a lot of men care products right now are really bad because they're full of testosterone. And guess what? Another very important thing. Anybody who's taking bioidentical hormones, they rub off on other people through the skin. So if you are taking bioidenticals, any of you out there who is HRT, or also synthetic hormones, they will come out through your skin, through your sweat. And if you're sleeping together or holding hands or, you know, holding a baby, any of those things, the hormones will get into your body, and your skin, you know, is like a sponge, and it will just suck them right in, and it will just cause that domino effect on your own hormones. So something else to keep in mind, watch who you hug, touch, rub cheeks, you know, and if you are on hormones, careful, because you might be holding your little baby and you are on, or your grandson or grandchild, and you are on HRT and you're sweating, those hormones are going into the baby's body. As far as supplementation for liver detox, I use specific supplements in my practice. If you don't want to do a professional detox, I would recommend using, I cannot recommend products specifically unless you are my patients, but you know, there are herbs that are supportive, milk thistle, and my phone is running out of battery. So there are specific herbs for liver support, and sorry, my phone just is almost dying and I totally lost track again. So anything that is supportive of liver detoxification, phase 1 and phase 2, will be helpful to get rid of those hormones. And as far as the cortisol, what do we do with the cortisol? Well, of course, with high cortisol, we need to de-stress. And that is also a whole other video in itself. But I am about to go to yoga, as you can see from my gym outfit here. And that is my main way to release stress during the day, because I need to move, I need to be active. I'm sitting right here all day, you guys. This is my office. This is where all the work on the Nourished Caveman gets done, but on the chair. And I'm sure that a lot of you out there have the same kind of job, or not job, but the same type of work where you're sitting down all day. So it's really important to have that emotional, psychological stress release into physical activity. Walking is a wonderful way to distress. Long walks in nature, fresh air, sunshine, walks on the beach if you have one, walk in the mountain if you have one. Otherwise, yoga, and I like detox baths, very good for 2 birds with 1 stone. So warm baths, not too hot, with Epsom salts, baking soda, you can put sea salt in them. I would go be careful with the oils if you put essential oils, because if they're not super extra pure, they can cause problems again. So keep it simple, Epsom salt, baking soda, sea salt. Have a bath once or twice a week, especially when you're stressed out. Get massages, lymphatic drainage massages. Those are amazing. They flush that stuff out. And colonics, that's a great way. Colonics are awesome for liver cleansing and flushing hormones out of your body. So here is a good question, and we have about 2 minutes, you guys, before my phone dies, and then I have to hang up. Kat asks, what about thyroid meds? Does that rub off and attach to others? No. Luckily, thyroid hormones are not fat-based hormones. They're not steroid hormones. They're iodine hormones. They don't get excreted and absorbed in the same way. Although that is a whole other video. But I think that was topic number 2 today, talking about thyroid. So in the next few days, or maybe next week, I am going to try to tackle that topic. And you guys are always welcome to ask me or, you know, give me suggestions. What do you want me to talk about? All right, so I think we're running out of time here, and also I have to go to class soon, but thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your questions. If I haven't answered it here on the video, I will answer it below. Again, any of you, if you have serious hormone imbalances and you need to understand more and you want to resolve these problems, I will be happy. Natural remedies for hot flashes in menopause. Deb, first one, clean your liver. Really, it works. I have so many patients that come to me with hot flashes. They can't sleep at all, and they're just tortured by hot flashes. I wish I know one of my patients is watching here, but she didn't have hot flashes so bad. I had some other ones that they had them pretty bad. But yes, liver cleanse, number one. You need to get that estrogen out. And a lot of times for me personally, I know hot flashes are a sign, like big screaming red sign of congested liver. Yes, Colleen, that's a good one. Black cohosh. But you guys, be very careful with black cohosh because it's an herb and it has a specific dosage. Never go over the dosage of black cohosh. It has severe side effects if you do. It's going to make you sick. So if you do want to use black cohosh, I would recommend doing it with a professional. Or if you're just dosing yourself, make sure you use the prescription, the indications, don't overdose it, okay? And yes, it is a good one. Another great one for menopause is wild yam. Both could be helpful for hot flashes. Sage is another wonderful herb. Again, you can do them yourself. Be careful, especially black cohosh. And first of all, liver. Okay, so thank you so much for your questions. And I was saying, if you need more help, reach out to me. I have a program. I rebalance hormones, I detox you, I keto adapt you, I do all those wonderful things. I do have a lot of patients, but I'm always happy to help other people and answer your questions. So have a great rest of your day. I'm off to yoga, de-stressing, and then I have to calculate patient macros. That's my least favorite thing. See, you don't get to do it, I get to do it. Have a great day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Nourished Caveman.